Welcome, dear viewers, to a new episode of Dialogue Horizon. In this episode, as we promised last week, that we'll continue on the issue and subject of the economic developments, the positive developments in the economy of Sudan. And also, we'll have at the end of the episode some few words about the statement of principles or the declaration of principles signed by His Excellency Lieutenant General Fattah al-Burhan and Commander Abdulaziz al-Hiru. I'm glad to host in this episode two of different specialties, two different gentlemen. First, we have our friend Ahmed Hassan Mun'im Mansour. He's an economist, basically economist, and he is also specialized in development and development projects and programs, and he works on quite a lot of most of his time in this area in England. Also, we have Dr. Zuhair Bashar. Zuhair, once we hosted him here, he is an expert first in conflicts. This is very important, that one of the rare and the very special specialization in conflicts and conflict resolutions. So we'll try to cover as much as we can in this episode the two subjects. Okay, gentlemen, welcome both of you for being with us in this episode, this important episode. Now we start by our economist expert, Ahmed Hassan Mun'im Mansour. First of all, I think everybody knows that last week a very good event happened, which is a good step in alleviating the crisis of the economy of the country, trying to the first brick in the road, on the road to have a healthy economy, which is related to the relation with the World Bank, and our developing relation with normalization with America. People, they heard that something called the bridge finance. America paid a finance of 1.3, I think $1.3 billion to Sudan, and Sudan paid this as part of the debt to the World Bank, and this made Sudan eligible for further loans or further good relation with the World Bank. So, Ahmed, can you tell the viewer that what is this bridge financing? Is it a loan? Is it a grant? Do we have to pay it back? What exactly happened in last week?
Thank you, Mr. Omar, very much indeed for the hosting, and we hope that the information we're going to provide to our watcher and viewers, it's going to be beneficial to everyone. And thank you again for the hosting and the invitation. Good afternoon to everyone. Basically, Sudan is being in a major debt for the past 30 years in regards to the American sanctions and the European sanctions. So Sudan basically was eliminated from the link between the country and the international financial centers in every country. So Sudan was in a very, very bad situation regarding its relation with the international community, international banks, and the American financial centers. So for Sudan to be able to get a benefit and support and grants from the international bank, there is a certain requirements he has to meet, and before getting any benefits or applying for any loans or grant from the international community. So without the country paying this amount, the country would be diseligible for any further assistance. So by the help of the United States, the United States decided to give that to the local government to support a democratic movement to the country by giving the amount of the money to be paid to Sudan, and Sudan can pay it then to the international bank. Plus that, is without this amount being paid, the conference is going to be held in Paris. The Sudan cannot attend this club in Paris without paying that amount of money to the international bank. When we become back to what it's meaning bridging finance, it's basically to make people who they're not in business science aware. What is it? It's basically if you want to go and buy a car and the bank asks you to pay a deposit, then you have to pay, say, a deposit of a 40%, and then you will make a monthly installment. But if you do not have the deposit or the down payment, the bank will not support the purchase order for you. So what you're going to do as a person, you have only one option, is to go to a friend or to another supporter or financier to give you the money for the down payment, to give it to the bank so you can get your car, and then you can start installment from your monthly income. So basically what happened is Sudan does not have the money to pay for the international bank. So he got a loan from the United States, or the Ministry of Treasury and Finance specifically, give that money. The Sudan paid it to the international community or the international bank. Then the question it would be how the country is going to pay for the money that is being taken from the United States. There's many ways. One of these ways is this money doesn't have to be paid immediately or in a short period of time. It can be paid over 30 years, for example. It's going to be over a very long time. Second issue, it does not have to be paid on cash. It can be paid in a part of seeds or any things that can be found or manufactured in Sudan. I'm sure that there is a certain requirement and agreement is being done by the government here and the Ministry of Finance, Treasury and Finance in the United States. But fortunately, the criteria of the deal of the payment pack from the Sudan to the United States, it's not being mentioned in any press conference either from the US side or from the Republic of Sudan side. But basically in the international cases similar to these cases, it will be paid over a long time, or it would be the United States will have another benefit from the Sudan in like a land or farming lands or buildings, or it takes a commodities like a sesame seeds or Arabic gums, or something that can help the United States to improve their strategic planning globally, or in getting benefit of the demographic and the geographic location of the country.
Okay. So actually, it's really it's something almost a grant or a loan, or maybe the bank, the World Bank, the National Bank, as soon as Sudan is qualified to get more loans and to start a new relation, maybe from the first payment from the World Bank, America can be paid back anyhow. It is something which needs appreciation, a commendation, because it's something good from America to do that. Whatever the way how it's gonna be paid back to it, Sudan is now really benefited from this step by America and the World Bank.
Absolutely, that's correct. It's just to try to symbolize for people with a very simple terminologies is that the case similar that when you have a car and you don't have a fuel, you have a lights but you don't have electricity. So America give the financial system in Sudan to be in operation again. Okay. So this is exactly what done. But if after your permission, there is a very small issue we need to highlight is after we're going to get the finance from the giver in Paris Club or from the international bank, we need honestly to find out what's the plan that is supported from the Ministry of Trade and Finance here in Sudan. What they're going to do from this money. The fact is, because we are a country that been away for a long time and separated from the international community, to bring our citizen straight away from the situation that the citizen are actually existing at the moment to the international standard straight away, this will create a big gap on the ground between the citizen and the government and the international community. So we didn't hear anything from the Minister of Finance or the Prime Minister of Sudan about what exactly, specifically, they're going to use that money to help supporting the normal citizen and helping supporting the organization of the country, either the governmental or the private. Because as we can see every day, still we are very far from stability of foreign currency in the country, because the black market prices is actually increasing very much than the bank prices. So we are better than what we were in the past, but still there is no
Still slow.
yes, there's no stability in the market. The government still doesn't have enough money of a foreign currency to support the government, the need of the government of the US dollars or any foreign currency. It still does not have enough foreign currency to support the basic demands and needs for the citizens, like medications, major foods parts that needed to be imported from outside, fuel, which is we having a very massive problem regarding fuel and gas, like cooking gas. Another issue is still the manufacturing plants. It's very, very slow supporting from the the trade of manufacturing. It's still the local manufacturing facing huge problems. They paying lots of expenses for the workers and for the raw materials. The port in Port Sudan, the handling of emptying the ships, it's very, very slow. It takes long times. After that, the logistics from Port Sudan to any city of Sudan, it takes really long time, which is making the manufacturing a payback period
Longer.
extended.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, Ahmed, that's very good. We'll come again. We'll come
Thank
again
you.
to this issue. It's a very important issue. Now we've clarified this bridge finance, which is a good step and a needed step and a vital step to start Sudan to start relation with the international community.
Life-saving.
And the banking, life-saving actually. Okay, we go, Dr. Zuhair. Zuhair Bashar, definitely you are a doctor and you specialize in conflicts, mainly conflicts and resolution, how to resolve conflicts, and which is something good. But I want to take you back to the World Bank contribution in Sudan long time ago, more than about maybe 60 years ago. It's not the first time this last week the Bank of Sudan, World Bank intervened or helped Sudan. It already did that some 50 or 60 years ago when they financed the extension of Jazeera in Managil. This number one. They financed the Ruseris Dam, which for quite a long time it was taking the brunt of the load, the brunt of the demand of the electricity in Sudan, Ruseris Dam, plus other agricultural machinery like ginning factories. All this the World Bank. Do you think that this was helpful when that contribution from the World Bank, so that we can compare it with what will happen? For the last 6 years, all these projects were financed by. Do you think these were feasible and beneficial to Sudan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar. Thank you for the invitation and thank you for having me in this episode. And I would like to say hello to the viewers. And thank you also for the question. Just before going to that question, I just want to make some comments.
Sure, you can go ahead with Ahmed. What Ahmed
have
said.
already been provided
Okay.
by Dr. Ahmed. Because I was keen to follow on that discussions for the last 2 weeks, for the last week about the bridge financing loan or whatever, something paid by the United States to the World Bank. I hear that you ask whether this is going to be paid back or not. I hear a story, and I would like Dr. Ahmed to correct me if that's wrong, or to correct this information, that as soon as the Americans have paid this bridge finance, the Sudan became eligible for 2 billion pounds. And then when the World Bank released these 2 billion pounds, immediately the United States of America received the 1.15 billion that they have already paid as British finance, and the rest of the money will come for the Sudan.
About 250, I heard this.
Something, yeah, billions.
200
grants,
billion.
Yeah. So I just want later on, Dr.
We'll come back, Ahmed,
yeah,
Ahmed when he's...
But with regard to your question, that the World Bank have already, long time ago, being involved in Sudan and financing some very important strategic projects, that's correct. And these projects, like the Rusaris Dam and the extension of the Managil, definitely have helped the Sudanese economy very much.
Yeah.
And it has a very huge impact on boosting the economy of the Sudan during the 1970s, and when the Sudanese economy, especially at the beginning of the 70s, it was very flourishing. So I think trading with the World Bank is not always something bad.
Some people,
Yeah.
well, some people, they think that World Bank like a ghost, but
Exactly. Some people always have this concern about the World Bank and the exploitation of the third world countries by the World Bank and this and that, and the prescription of the World Bank is never changed, and that is the exploitative institution. I think that's not always correct. With regard to our experience in Sudan, especially with regard to the project that you have already mentioned, it was our connections and relations with the World Bank was very useful for the Sudan. And in this connection, I would like to raise one point. The problem is, to a large extent, is not in the World Bank. The problem is in the regimes. In most of the third world countries, the regimes are dictators. And they take the money, but they don't invest it or use it in what?
in the proper
Exactly,
way.
in the proper way, or in the design
Okay.
project that they have asked for. So that is why the problem comes. The money is wasted because of corruption, and at the end of the day, the country do not have the benefit of it.
Loans, external debt,
And then it accumulates,
increase
it accumulates
with its service
debt and
rates.
the service of the debt. It's very high service, of course. It's known for the very high services. So that is the problem. But I don't think the World Bank as such is a problem.
So this means that I agree with you. The projects which were financed by the World Bank, like extension of Jazeera and Rosaires Dam and the other agricultural equipment and machinery, it did take the country for quite about 30 years without, at that time, nobody knows about the dollar and the exchange rate. You go to Bank of Sudan if you want to travel, they give you the check or they give you the money, and you don't, even exporters, they don't have to worry about once they get the franking of the Minister of Commerce, they go to Bank of Sudan, they get the money. So for quite a long time we were happy with this project. Actually, Jazeera scheme, its extension in Managil, the Rosaires Dam, the other infrastructure helped by the World Bank, actually it took the whole country for quite a long time. As you said, when the dictatorship came, starting from May regime, Mary, and then the ousted regime of the Salvation, things went very fast and very bad. Okay, that is good. Okay, go back to Ahmed. Okay, now we all agree that the World Bank is most welcome, because World Bank and international institutions, we cannot do without them to deliver the economy of the country. Uh, what do you think that this step, is it a positive step forward for eligibility of Sudan to be in the HIPIC program, the heavily indebted poor countries program, which was set by the United Nations to waive or to write off or reduce the external debt of the poor countries. It stands for heavily indebted poor countries. This is the HIPIC. So Sudan, and it was applied to many countries, I think Ethiopia and other different countries in Africa.
Somalia as well.
Somalia as well. So do you think this is a good step? Will it help in including Sudan in this program?
Okay, just first of all, answering the doctor point.
Okay, yes, okay.
Okay, what's written about Sudan paying back to the debt to the United States? As I started, what I was just saying is there's no official comment from the local government here in the country or from the Ministry of Trade, Finance, or the Ministry of Treasury in the United States about how the loan is going to be paid back. But in all cases, the paying back of the loan itself, it's a very good point. It's a very good movement. But the problem we're gonna face is why, as back to your first questions, is why the country did not benefit from the first support from the international bank. Like, for example, as you mentioned, Mr. Umar, that the project in Jazeera, the extended one, it's a lot of money spent on that project specifically, and it was a strategic project that's supposed to feed the country and that has a much left over to be exported global-wise. But the major problem is, you know, we have steps, procedures, a protocol should be applied before getting the money from the international bank, which is before we're talking about infrastructures or logistic problems, leave all that aside. We have a problem in the caliber, in the labor calibers and the management employees here in Sudan. These two groups, they don't have the enough training and the enough knowledge to get the maximum benefit of the loan and the finance it's available from the international community. So when you don't have a manager, and this manager is supported by a staff and supported by a team, can accomplish the points that you, from the first place, you applied for the finance to have it, then will make the project in a failure positions, because you don't have the tools of implementations. So the tools of implementation is basically your managers and the staff is going to implement that on ground. So say the government went to Paris Club and get all of that money that they want. The government does not announce how the country how is going to benefit from that money. It's a very good thing that Sudan debts is going to be cancelled and it's going to be off. But we don't want the country to go in a new debts that's not going to benefit from these debts. Other issue is who's the trained groups and the facility that they're going to implement these powers. As we know that the situation of the government at the moment is not built on qualified people. It's built about which tribe or political group that you belong to. I don't think that even the head of the government or the prime minister is really finding the people who are working in managing the country that they're satisfied with them, because the lack of academic qualifications, that there's no fair jobs in the job interview. Government jobs, it's not depending on your qualifications, or it's not depending on a test that you should be done before having an interview. It's more about which tribe or political group that you belong to. So this is making that's actually destroying the country slowly in a very strong steps, because you taking a loan, that's okay, wipe the debts, but before having a new debt, make sure that you're gonna make the maximum benefit of the new loan that you're gonna take. Because our problem that we don't have a system, and the system mean it's that we have basically a start date for the project, we have an end date. In the start date and the end dates, we have a role here. These roles, we need managers, employees, accountants. We need people that has the qualifications to make the journey of the development successful. All what we hear at the moment is plan. We have a very good planners, but we have a problems with people who make implementation on reality. So it's good that we deal with the international bank, but there is a very high risk that the money that we're going to take from the international bank is not going to used on the right way, not because somebody's going to steal that money, because we don't have the qualified team.
That's very clear. Yes, so yeah, that's very clear. You have any comment on this? Yes, what he's saying actually, that okay, are we doing enough? Are we qualified to receive this? All of a sudden, Sudan is now open to the international community. Like for example, the Americans, they are promising that many companies and even the government, the American government, might give a grant or a loan of about $2 billion for 2 years for projects. So what Ahmed is saying, that we have to put the people actually in commissions, in the right persons, so that the implementation is properly done with the objective of making profit and pay back.
Yes.
So do we think, are we qualified? Did we prepare studies, detailed studies to receive this international assistance?
I do agree with Dr. Ahmed that to receive the money might not be a big issue. The big issue is how can you use the money, and do you have the qualified people who can implement the project and use the money wisely? That's really a problem. Because if you remember, according to the constitutional document, there should be a civil servant commission. The civil servant commission is supposed to be established at the beginning of the announcement of the transitional government. But now we are about 2 years ahead after the outstate of that regime, and the Civil Servants Commission hasn't been established. And as Ahmed said, the people now are recruited according to something unknown. There is no standard of recruiting people in the civil servant, whether under secretary or go down that level. Yeah. So this is the real problem, because you can receive money, investors can come in, but if you don't have the right people to do the right job, that will be a big problem. And up to now, you don't have that, unfortunately. Yeah.
So that's it, you agree with him?
Yes,
I agree with you,
yeah.
both of you. I agree, because you have to qualify yourself first before getting the money, because you can get the money through political, strategic issues, interests of different countries, but you have to be wise and careful to benefit completely from these intentions, whether are good or bad. Anyhow, the interest of the first one is now is focused on Sudan.
Yes.
So we have to prepare ourselves. I think the best way is to make commissions. If we are talking about political, okay, let the cabinet be political according to diversity of the Sudan, the cultural diversity of Sudan and the ethnic diversity. Okay, but at least there should be some commissions in each sector. There should be a commission which includes the planning, supervision, and implementation. Otherwise, do you think if we go to the boot system, we just hire to the companies can boot, as you know, it's a build, own, operate, and transfer.
Yes.
After so many years. If we are not sure, if we are not qualified enough to do this, we can resort to the boot.
Mr. Umar, is, and I hope the doctor that's gonna agree with me on what I'm going to say is, uh, in every government, it has its weak side and it is a stronger side. But if we put the government aside, everyone in the country knows that we have a management problems because our culture is supporting that anyone has a kids that should be sent to a certain colleges. So the intention of people that sending their kids to, either medical schools or engineering school, and downgrade the people who specialize on management or any other sectors, that that things it's absolutely destroying the country at the moment. Because if you put somebody is very weak on management and he doesn't know what's meaning of how to implement strategic plan and how you do a financial assessment, this is can bring the country that the country there's no sanctions, but the country is barred or prohibited to be approved for a new finance, because tomorrow a new project might arise, a project of mining gold or a project of mining about a new location for finding oils, or that you need a loan to support farmers to make a farming extended plan in whole of the country. So that brings us to the back of the point that is really the government having a serious plan about how they're going to use this money. Second is, if they know how to use that money, who's from the citizens, the normal citizens, and the government sectors, which has the specified sectors of the area that going to implement, is this side of the government really knows how the science should be applied. They have a test of the business plan or the marketing research applied on ground to test their visibility study. So this is actually put me and you and everyone in this country in a dangerous that is going to be no futures for the next generations. Because if they use that money and there's no outcome from that money, and they didn't pay the loan back, that's going to put the country in a very critical situation. Don't forget that we are a country, since I can remember, that we're having a political conflict. We are in a war zone as well most of the time, either in the west or the south or any part of the country. And we really don't know what's going to happen in the next few days if the peace agreement, for lack of the same reason that we mentioned, if the peace agreement it had any kind of a failure. We have to face and be oriented about the problem that's actually facing the country to be destroyed. We have to secure this problem. We have to make sure that the country is not going to be separated to a very, very far pieces. Nowadays, people talking that about the separation of the West. But there is a major issue that people who they're asking for the separation of the West, that even if the West is being separated, the West is going to be stuck of trading and having business because they will not have an access to the port. There is a major issue that we need to make, that we need to have a trained people, we have to have a qualifications, we need to, and a plan simply can be applied on the real life. This is exactly what I'm trying
That's
to
very clear. Yes, so I think we agree with it. Now this is a golden chance. We have a golden chance of the world, regardless of it's the interest of those in the world who are really interested, whether it's America, whether it is Israel, whether it is European Union, whether regardless of this, anyhow Sudan, the end will benefit from this. So we have to qualify ourselves first. Forget about the political differences, forget about this, let us concentrate on the project. These people are coming with money, but they will not come at any risk. We have to eliminate all risk possibilities. Can you add, because this is your domain, this is your area of risk.
No, that's absolutely right. I can understand that this transitional government has inherited a very huge problems, destruction, challenges, and all these things, and in all aspects of life, whether civil servant or political or international relation or this and that. But yet, what people wants to see is to see them making the first step on the right direction. For example, now they have opened the door with regard to our international relations by convincing Americans to take Sudan out of the
list of the sanctions of
yeah, taking the sanctions off, and then now they convince the World Bank to collaborate with them, and now they are eligible for loans and maybe for grants and other things. That's very good. At the same time, they have to work side by side on the internal issues, these inherited problems of the distracted civil servants. They have to work on this as well. They have to establish the civil servant commission very quickly. They have to attract the international experts, Sudanese who are working abroad. They have the they are very highly qualified, and they have the high skills. And they are working in every aspect of fields, all fields, whether economy or political or industrial or all these
in all fields.
Yeah, they are working in all fields and they have the expertise. But the problem is, if you want someone to come back right now and to work as a manager here in Sudan, how much you are going to pay him? If you pay the undersecretary about 50 or 60,000 Sudanese,
200.
yeah, SDG.
$200.
Yeah,
less than 200.
Less than $200.
You will not accept.
Yeah, of course. That's one problem. The other problem is the environment. The environment that you ask this person, he or she, to come and work within. Is it a conducive environment?
No.
Of course, no. So you have to make an conducive environment, including the salary, including the equipment, including the laws, all these things. And you have to work on that quickly. As you are working to open doors with the international community, you have to work on this at the same time. Otherwise, we are not going to benefit from our efforts with the international community.
This is very good. That's exactly what I believe. I believe that we have to prepare ourselves. We have to get prepared for this. It's something, not a joke.
Yeah.
It's a real interest of these people from the international community. They are really serious. And this is a step good, which is to be credited or to the international government and to Hamdouk, to the Prime Minister, because he gained commendation and he gained recognition of all the different parts of the world from different leaders, America, France, Germany. Now he sees these people, they look at him as a symbol for the real transformation to democratic rule. And he's qualified and he worked in international areas. But he has to take the initiative. He has to look inside. How to prepare the country for receiving this huge, unprecedented level of assistance is coming. But it's not coming at any risk or at any rate. It's definitely conditional. Investors, even private investors, they have their own calculations. One of it is the stability of the country, security, safety, infrastructure, you name it. You have, without this they come. So now, okay, Hamdouk has to be commended, and the transitional government, Hamdouk himself, has to be commended, highly commended for opening the doors. These doors are now open. When you have a rush, even in stadia, football stadia, if you open the door for people to come, they will rush. If we are not organized inside, then there will be chaos.
Yes.
Things will lose. Okay, having said that, and so we talked about the environment, the internal environment, which is conducive to any financial assistance. Dr. Zuhair, last week we had a very important event, event, but it raised an issue, but we'll talk about it. It's a very important event, which is the signing of the Declaration of Principles between His Excellency, the Chairman of the Supreme Council, Al-Burhan, and Commander Abdelaziz Al-Hilo in Juba last week. And it included some areas of controversy in the society, in the political arena. And now let us ask you, what do you say, what can you say about this? You are expert in the conflict resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Umar, for that question. Yeah, last week, yeah, we have this declaration of principles between SPLM, Sudan People Liberation North, and the transitional government represented by the leader of the Supreme Council. From my point of view, that declaration is a very good declaration. It is a step forward.
It's a good step.
Yeah, it is added to the success that was made in Juba by signing the Juba agreement between the transitional government and the other factions. And I think the central point of that is it consolidates the convictions of the whole Sudanese people that the transitional government is serious about peace and it's going from one step to another step towards achieving the comprehensive peace. So Al-Hilo, as a leader of the SPLM, and Abdul Wahid as a leader of the Sudan Liberation Movement, both of them are very important for a comprehensive peace to be achieved. So I have seen the declaration, and I can see that the declaration is very good in terms of content, and it is a very far step forward. And I think it's even going to convince Abdul Wahid to come forward, because some of the elements of this declaration is the same element that Abdul Wahid are talking about. And I think he will be on board very soon.
So Abdul Wahid will follow suit, because most of the items of the declaration, he already raised it. So
Exactly.
he will have a very few items left maybe.
Exactly.
So now the way is paid for Abdul Wahid to join.
Yeah.
And you think that the declaration is something important, it's very good, and leading to stability of the country.
Yes, important, very good. It is comprehensive. It includes all the very important points that, for example, the issue of the relation between religion and state is very clearly stated that the state should be at
equal distance
from,
religions.
yeah, from different religion, and equal distance from different people, and there should be no discrimination whatsoever in terms of religion, ethnicity, culture, or whatever. So the central point is the citizenship is the citizenship should be the point of rights or obligations. Citizenship is the central point. So that is what Al-Hulu is asking for, and it is there in that declaration.
So and he also it was what it's now you are saying that yes,
Yeah.
the sensitive word of secular is not mentioned in the agreement.
That's
Not
true.
at all, never. They
That's
talk
true.
about civil governance,
Yeah.
in which all people are equal,
Yes,
and the governance of the system is equidistant from all religions.
religions, yes.
So there's no contradiction with Islam or with any this declaration.
Yeah.
It does not contradict the belief of the majority of the Sudanese people here as Muslims, but talking about the minority which has to benefit equally like the majority. Okay. Can
Definitely.
you ask something? Although it is a little bit far from your specialization, but it is in a way, when we talk about Al-Hilo and his area, as you know, his area of South Kordofan is very rich in agriculture. It has some rare fruits and vegetables. This area, once Al-Hilo comes and the area is in peace and people are back to work, this is a very rich area, fertile area for fruits and vegetables.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed for giving me the chance. But I'm just going to take a very quick minutes
Okay.
to come back to what we were talking. Is just if we look on the case of Sudan was borrowing a lot of money from the Chinese government, okay, and unfortunately, major of that money was failed to not be paid on time, okay. And on the one of the negotiations between members of the old Sudanese government and the Chinese government, that Sudan was asking for the loan for an extensions payment time. The Chinese government at that time, at that negotiation, refused to give Sudan an extended time. And one of the offers from the Chinese government that they're going to take the Jazeera project because Sudan failed to pay it. They're going to take it for a good few years, that which is over 20 years. So I'm afraid if we didn't apply, if we didn't learn from the mistakes that happened on the history, that we are in the present and in the future, we're going to face from, okay, we didn't pay our installments to the like international bank or any lending country. This lending country is going to take something from the country of Sudan for their own benefit, with including interest, because all of these loans has an interest. If you didn't pay for the time, the interest is going to increase. The interest rate, it's the benefit for the international bank or any financial institutions that they're going to it's going to be beneficial from them for why they're giving you the money, for that you're going to pay back with an extra money, so for their own benefit. So they're going to take a strategic project, or they're going to, you know, take a major service, they're going to own it. The problem is going to be extended. But we are a normal citizen now. We don't know what's the preparation really for the government, how they're going to cope if they were not able to use this money on the right direction. Back to your question about Commander Al-Hilu and the signed agreement with the Lieutenant General Mr. Al-Burhan. The fact is, this is very important for stability. Without stability, there is no economy. Without no stability, there is no development. Without no stability, there is no change.
Yeah.
But the fact is now people are focusing about religion, and you know, that's going to be it's going to be like a complete civilian part of the religion. The issue is these parts, it became about, you know, a few charges about, you know, people who they were found drunk, or people who were found in illegal marriage situations. What's the law is going to charge them for? Which is, that's, I think it's a minor problem if we let the people know what's exactly the problem. But in terms of things, I think the peace agreement, we have to focus in not only the benefit. Everyone knows that benefit of the peace agreement is very important. It's good for everything. It's good for everyone. We are saving the life for our soldiers. We are saving the military money. We are saving ourselves a headache of losing somebody close or a friend. But we have to look at what exactly the problem that might face this agreement. The problem might face this agreement is honestly this agreement can be applied on reality.
Yeah.
How, you know, like, is we gonna have ISIS members gonna come to the country because the country is gonna change from an Islamic religion country to a free country? So are we ready? Is the government having this supporting plan to support to close to have a higher security level in the neighborhoods, like between, you know, the borders between our neighbors? Is the, you know, the intelligence government, or the intelligence group of the government and intelligence and security, are they supporting the government with enough informations about what the problems or the leak might comes on? So we need to prepare. I think we all know the benefit, but our problems now, there is a lack of awareness of the problem that the country and the normal citizen that might face.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Both of you, we agree with you. We all agree that the step of declaration of principles is something good, something positive.
Definitely.
A step forward for helping the environment of the international community to come to Sudan.
Yeah.
This one step. When Abdul Wahid follows suit with Al-Hilu, this will be better. Ahmed is raising the point that the government should be also careful about the fundamentalist Islamic, maybe
And the radicalist,
and
the radical Islam as well, you know, because
you have to be prepared for a step which might jeopardize the whole effort of the international community to come. But also,
Yeah.
some people, they say, okay, we don't object this, whether it is secular or, but this is not its place, not in the declaration. It has to be resolved in the either constitutional conference or at least in the legislative council.
Yeah.
So what is your comment on this?
My comment on this is, at this stage, the transitional government role is to cease fire, stop the war. This is a very important step. And after that, it's already stated in the constitutional document that there will be a constitutional conference whereby people can discuss the issue of religion and state and other big issues, issue of identity and all these issues. So I think at this point, if you can see, the declaration didn't mention secularism because the concept is a very loaded. When you talk about secularism, people go straight away to the experience of Europe and United States. Yeah, so it is not. It's not necessary.
So what mentioned
exactly? They mentioned that the state should be at an equal distance from all religion. Okay, let us come and translate that in the Constitution. To translate that in the Constitution, we have to have a conference whereby everyone is represented in that, the whole Sudanese people, whether in terms of ethnicity, with their religious background, with this cultural background, they come together and then they decide what constitution they want. But at this time, when two people are quarreling or fighting, do you leave them to kill one another?
No.
You have to stop them first and then look for the terms of reconciliation. So I think now the transitional government is doing the right thing. They want to stop the war first, and then later on in the constitutional conference, they can settle these issues.
Okay, that is very good, very good. I think both of you talked about it's something very good step. What happened last week? Two things. The first is the opening, the eligibility of Sudan with the World Bank and financial institutions to join after paying the part of the debt to the World Bank. So now Sudan is ready to receive loans, grants from the World Bank. And you are saying that we have to qualify ourselves, to prepare ourselves for this. You are also commending that the Declaration of Principles is something good, and even the small issues which have to be resolved in the Constitutional Conference as stated in the declaration, the constitutional document.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, dear viewers, for being with us in the last hour. We talked in two important subjects, the openness of the start of the reunion of Sudan with the international community, the financial community, and the Declaration of Principles signed by President Burhan and Al-Hilo. Thank you. Hope to see you next week in a new episode. Bye.